Chapter 2011 Divine Being Soldier Calamity. The white sand fell on the ground and immediately melted into puddles of milk that seeped into the ground. Blop blop. Air bubbles rose from the ground. The beans buried under the ground devoured the milk and grew rapidly in 3 minutes. Fang Yuan expended the small amount of rank 8 immortal material milk sand he had. The barren land became extremely fertile and green bean sprouts broke out of the ground's surface. Again, Fang Yuan took out a snow path immortal material. The immortal material was thrown to the air and was digested by Divine Emperor City, turning into broken lightning rays that covered the whole bean field. The broken lightning slightly touched the tender bean sprouts and agitated their growth potential. The bean sprouts began growing with a visible speed. Continue. After the lightning rays dissipated, Fang Yuan took out the third immortal material. Time continued to pass. About 3 days and 3 nights later, Fang Yuan slowly stopped his actions. He looked at the field. The beans had already grown into divine bean soldiers. They were standing in rows, silent and still like statues as they waited for Fang Yuan's orders. Fang Yuan sighed, thinking, "This is the last batch of divine bean soldiers. My immortal materials are basically all spent." As a clone of Fang Yuan, after Fang Yuan was schemed by Genesis Lotus Will, he had been trapped in the painting. Over this period of time after the Fate War, he had been waiting for his main body to rescue him while using all his strength to accumulate troops. But even by now, the main body had not come to save him. Fang Yuan could only prepare to save himself. He was now trapped in the painting, unable to contact the main body and even unable to access treasure Yellow Heaven. But he had refined Divine Being Palace, so he still held a portion of the authority. This was the reason Genesis Lotus Will was unable to do anything to him in a short period of time. Fang Yuan used this authority to borrow Divine Being Palace's strength in cultivating divine being soldiers. He was constantly accumulating divine being soldiers, and now, their size had already reached an enormous scale. It is time. Move out, invade and seize control of all the paintings. Fang Yuan gave a command without any hesitation. The Divine Being Soldier Army began to set out. They split into countless divisions as they moved towards the edge of the painting and invaded other painting worlds. Outside Emperor City was a large farmland. Wheat billowed in the autumn wind and many farmers were harvesting them. This year is an abundant year. Yes, every family has made good harvests. What is this noise? The farmers were talking happily when they suddenly heard strange sounds and were bewildered that a group of over 300 divine being soldiers charged into this painting world. They discovered these farmers and behaved like sharks that smelled blood. They moved extremely quickly and killed anyone they saw. Run. There are monsters. Run. Spare me. Spare. Guh. Blood splattered everywhere. The last farmer's head and body were separated, falling into a pool of blood. Divine Being Soldiers killed all the humans and occupied this painting world. Another painting outside of Emperor City. It was spring, and the scenery was beautiful that a large group of scholars, students, and young ladies went for an outing. In the midst of their joyful talks, several Divine Being Soldiers appeared suddenly, causing the girls to scream. They dare to offend our young ladies. What are these things? The scholars and students looked curiously as the guards surrounded the Divine Being Soldiers. The Divine Being Soldiers began to attack. The guards were already on guard, so the battle went to a standstill. These strange things have bad intentions. Where did these things come out from? Forget that. Let's talk after killing them first. The scholars and the students cooperated with the Gu Master Guards and attacked, killing these Divine Being Soldiers without wasting much energy. But soon, an army of 1,000 Divine Being Soldiers arrived in this painting world. This time, the guards, scholars, and students were unable to resist. After a bitter struggle, most of them were killed and stepped on mercilessly by the Divine Being Soldiers, while a small portion retreated from this painting world and managed to survive. Each Divine Being Soldier had extraordinary strength and was at least of desolate beast level, but in the painting world, they had to follow its rules, where the gap between immortal and mortal was minuscule. Moreover, Divine Being Soldiers were transported to other painting worlds randomly, so their scales were not equal. Fang Dichang made a heavy attack, but the Divine Being soldier army was scattered everywhere and engaged in their respective invasions. Thus, some Divine Being soldiers made good progress, some met strong resistance, while some were directly annihilated by the Gu masters in the painting world. Even so, Fang Dichang soon revealed a satisfied smile. My guess was right. Divine Being Palace's paintings are connected with Emperor City's paintings. Although I am sealed here, my Divine Being soldiers originated from Divine Being Palace and are of the same origin as the whole of Divine Emperor City, so they can move out. The more painting worlds these Divine Being soldiers occupy, the more control I will have over Divine Emperor City. After gaining a certain amount of control, I can even go a step further and suppress Genesis Lotus Will, becoming the owner of Divine Emperor City. Fang Dichang's huge move this time made the Gu immortal seeds, sent by Heavenly Court into Divine Emperor City's painting world, gather and discuss a plan. What is going on with these Divine Being soldiers? Chen Dejiang frowned. Sun Yao's eyes were red. I also don't know. These monsters appeared and began killing wantonly. They are extremely vicious. Those pitiful beggars and homeless people were all killed by these monsters. Maybe this is our fortuitous encounter, or maybe it is a test. Tang Ruqi guessed. Ing Shengji frowned. I killed many Divine Being soldiers, but I have not made any gains until now. Wei Wushang analyzed calmly. Divine Being soldiers are a product of Divine Being Palace. According to rumors, Gu immortals can raise these Woodpath soldiers in a large scale in Divine Being Palace. When it is time to battle, the Gu immortal can release them to fight the enemies. Previously, when Divine Being Palace was with Western Desert, they scattered a large number of Divine Being soldiers to fight our central continent's 10 great ancient sections. So what is the reason behind these Divine Being soldiers' sudden appearance? Zhao Shuyi asked. Wei Wushang shook his head. I don't know. It has been some time since we arrived here, but the painting world here is too vast and profound. We don't know a lot of its secrets. What is the point of trying to figure out the reason? Right at this time, Xiao Qixing walked over. Ah, it is Brother Xiao. What information do you have? Or do you know the truth of the matter? These Gu immortal seeds asked one after the other. They thought highly of Xiao Qixing because he had the best progress among them. He mixed into the military faction and continued to advance in ranks, and was already a junior officer now. Xiao Qixing said, I don't care about the reason behind these Divine Being soldiers' appearance. I only know the higher-ups have sent the order to mobilize the army to exterminate these Divine Being soldiers. This time, I am leading my troops alone and need assistance. We will cooperate and kill these Divine Being soldiers. There will definitely be rewards after the battle. It is fine with me. These monsters should be killed. Chen Dejiang said. Sun Yao nodded. These Divine Being soldiers are too vicious. They are simply disregarding human lives. I will take revenge for those pitiful beggars and homeless people. Count me in too. Zhao Shuyi also expressed her stance. Soon, all of these Gu immortals agreed and temporarily joined Xiao Qixing as his subordinates. Xiao Qixing laughed heartily. He was pleased and proud with this huge increase in strength and manpower. Move out. Let us kill these Divine Being soldiers. Chapter 2012. Fang Dichang's Death. Divine Emperor City, Painting World in the vast plaza. Xiao Qixing led a large group of troops and was facing a group of Divine Being soldiers. The scale of this group of Divine Being soldiers was bigger than Xiao Qixing's side. How do we fight them? Sun Yuanhua had just asked when the Divine Being soldiers charged. Xiao Qixing stopped his side from attacking and smiled. Everyone, please stay put for now and look at how I fight them. Saying this, Xiao Qixing flicked his fingers repeatedly. A large amount of goo worms flew out of his aperture. These goo worms fell to the ground and turned into human shapes. Most of them were ordinary soldiers. A few clearly looked like elites, and an extremely small number of them looked much more brave and valiant. These are Soldier Gu, Sergeant Gu, Lieutenant Gu? Gu Ting narrowed his eyes. They should be. Wei Wushang counted roughly. There are over 500 of them. Looks like Xiao Qixing progressed really well in the military camp to be able to accumulate so many human path Gu worms. Formation. Xiao Qixing shouted while activating arrow formation Gu. These soldiers immediately gathered. Captains led lieutenants. Lieutenants led sergeants. and sergeants led soldiers, and the entire army formed a giant arrow that rushed head-on towards the incoming divine being soldiers. Charge! Shao Qi Xing's army roared loudly. On the contrary, the divine being soldiers were silent like there was no life. The two sides were like colliding waves which began to mix into each other. Shao Qi Xing's gaze was like lightning as he put all his attention on controlling his troops. In the chaotic battle, his troops were further divided, but they always maintained the most basic military formation. That on the contrary, the divine being soldiers were a messy and disordered group. After the initial stalemate, the situation began to slowly fall into Shao Qi Xing's grasp. Once he occupied the upper hand, this advantage snowballed, and soon, it turned into absolute dominance. Finally, Shao Qi Xing's side won a complete victory with all divine being soldiers killed off. How is it? Shao Qi Xing returned with victory and showed off to the other Gu immortal seeds. Zhao Shuyi rolled his eyes, not bothering to reply. Brother Shao is truly amazing. Chen Dejiang raised his thumb. Ha! Shao Qi Xing laughed heartily and said to Chen Dejiang, if you had walked the same path as me back then, you would also have such accomplishments today. We should continue. We have only cleared up one painting. Wei Wushang said, don't be careless. These soldiers are only yellow being divine soldiers. They are the most basic type of divine being soldier. Gu Ting said. They continued to march forward and fight divine being soldiers. After a while, they arrived at the most flourishing street of Divine Emperor City. Divine being soldiers were wantonly killing the people in the city, and it was a scene of chaos. Sun Yao's eyes turned red with fury. The first time she entered here, she had arrived at this street and enjoyed its flourishing scenes. She had never expected such a beautiful scene to be completely destroyed by the divine being soldiers. Everywhere was littered with corpses and blood flowed into a river. This will need everyone's assistance. Shao Qi Xing was modest for once. The paths are narrow and vision is not clear. My troops won't be able to move properly. The other Gu immortal seeds had no objections as they charged to the front lines and attacked. Shao Qi Xing stayed at the rear, observing the situation while controlling the soldiers to move forward. He was deeply aware that he came to compete for Genesis Lotus True Inheritance. These Gu masters beside him were his greatest competitors. Know yourself and your enemy, and you will never be defeated. This was the best opportunity to gain information about these people. These Gu master elites of Central Continent's 10 great ancient sects were indeed extraordinary. Shao Qi Xing had made a lot of progress. These Gu masters were also not any inferior. Ing Shengji continuously took out Dr. Gu, which took human forms and saved people everywhere. Chen Dejiang went through the outer gate. A group of officers moved around him as he joined the front lines with a long sword and a steel chain. Sun Yao gave a bigger surprise to Shao Qi Xing. 3 female dancers moved around her. Their long sleeves fluttered in the wind and weakened the divine being soldiers. Moreover, Sun Yao also held a human path killer move, joy in helping people. This move strengthened her allies. As for Wei Wushang, he appeared and disappeared as he moved in the chaotic battle like a fish in water. This guy has already mastered Thief Gu. Shao Qi Xing realized. These elites immediately shone brightly the moment they made their moves. Shao Qi Xing also felt heavy pressure as he warned himself. I really cannot underestimate these people. This chaotic battle lasted for 5 minutes before the whole street was cleared. Without staying any longer, Shao Qi Xing's group marched towards other paintings once again. The divine being soldiers in their path were all annihilated. Naturally, they were not the only group who were counterattacking. The warriors in the painting worlds also organized many groups and participated in the battle, killing the divine being soldiers. Yi Fan and Hong Yi were also mixed among other groups. They were secretly conversing. These divine being soldiers are really odd. There are so many types of them. The 10 great ancient sects members have also grown. We need to conceal ourselves and not be discovered by them. They were the earliest people to enter the painting world at this moment. Their accumulation far surpassed the Central Continent elites, but Yi Fan and Hong Yi could only move secretly. After all, the 5 regions world was the main world. Once they were discovered by Heavenly Court, the situation would become a mess. The counterattacking groups became faster the more they killed. Their efficiency was increasing continuously and casualties were reducing. After they had sufficient experience, They completely saw through the types of divine being soldiers. Yellow bean divine soldiers were only cannon fodder. Green bean soldiers could shoot flying arrows. Red bean soldiers could self-detonate. Black bean soldiers had the greatest defense. After understanding the characteristics of the different divine being soldiers, they began to launch targeted attacks. These divine being soldiers were far weaker than their external appearance. The counterattacking groups continued to gain victories and seized back more territories. Finally, they gathered on the city walls of Divine Emperor City. There was an ocean of divine being soldiers outside the city walls. Shao Qi could not help taking in a sharp breath when he saw this. The enemy force was overwhelming. It was not something their group could handle. They could only have a chance of defending the city by allying with other groups. Divine being soldiers rushed forward without any formation. Shao Qixing's group attacked with long-range skills from top of the city walls. Divine being soldiers were like ants as they began climbing the city walls. The ones guarding the city staked their lives to counterattack, not retreating a step. The whole battlefield was like a huge meat grinder. Large amounts of lives were lost every second. This battle lasted 3 days and 3 nights. Shao Qixing collapsed and sat weakly on the ground. His snowy white military robe was already dyed red with blood. Cheers spread continuously in the surroundings. They had won. This largest group of divine being soldiers was completely exterminated by them. Victory was assured. Next would be to clear up the remaining small groups of divine being soldiers in every painting. Wait a second. We seem to be able to walk out of Divine Emperor City. We can follow the path the divine being soldiers took and attack their base. When they were clearing up the battlefield, many made a big discovery. The troops began to gather once again and battled their way to Fang Dichang, the I in this painting world. Fang Dichang's strength was greatly reduced, but he still had a group of divine being soldiers around him. So you are the main culprit behind all these. You are going to pay for your sins. Why? Why do you need to kill these innocent people? What grudge do you have against them? Emotions surged, but Shao Qixing's group glanced at each other and moved towards the rear silently. So the cause of the divine being soldier calamity was him. He is a Gu immortal of Feng clan, Fang Dichang, who had once refined divine being palace. I did not expect him to still be alive, and he is creating chaos in the painting world. Don't tell me, did our sects send us here to get rid of him? Strange, why didn't Heavenly Court attack and kill Fang Dichang directly? Maybe this is a test for us. Or maybe we can only deal with him while following the rules of the painting world. Shao Qixing's group conversed quickly. Their expressions were extremely serious. They were the ones chosen and nurtured by their respective sects. Thus, they had a lot of information about the Gu immortal world. They had detailed information about the participants of the Fate War. Kill. Take revenge for our friends and family. I will cut him into 1,000 pieces. The Gu masters of the painting world attacked Fang Dichang, a bunch of trash. Fang Dichang stood at the center and commanded his troops calmly. The divine being soldiers beside him changed their formation and moved smoothly like water. The cooperation between the various types of soldiers was extremely smooth and fluid. Instantly, the warriors of the painting world suffered heavy casualties. Shao Qixing's group was also shocked. The scale of these divine being soldiers is quite small. How could they have such results? With a Gu immortal commanding them, they are completely different from before. What should we do? Battle or retreat? Fight. We have numbers on our side. Fang Dichang might be strong, but the gap between us is not the gap between immortal and mortal. We have a high chance of success. Slaughter the immortal. Someone shouted the slogan, which made Shao Qixing's group extremely excited. The moment they joined in the battle, the Gu masters in the front lines felt like they had received strong reinforcements that in fact, not only them, even Yi Fan and Hong Yi were also mixed in the battle, helping out secretly. Fang Dichang snorted coldly. Under his command, the divine being soldiers' formation kept on changing while being extremely stable. Shao Qixing's group battled hard for a long time. But to their horror, they discovered that the casualty difference between the enemy and their side had reached a terrifying level. There were only negligible losses to the divine being soldiers. What should we do? An immortal is still an immortal in the end, let alone when Fang Dichang is a wisdom path Gu immortal. Shao Qixing's group's morale fell sharply, and they had the thought of retreating, not daring to fight with Fang Dichang. But at this time, Fang Dichang's body shook suddenly as he coughed a mouthful of blood. He snorted coldly and looked up at the sky, laughing coldly. Genesis Lotus Will, you couldn't endure it, and took action after all. Fang Dichang was suppressed by Genesis Lotus Will. His control over the Divine Being soldiers was no longer as smooth as before. Xiao Qixing's group immediately felt the pressure on them reducing sharply. They were surprised and happy as they attacked once again. Fang Dichang's Divine Being soldiers continued to fall till they were all annihilated. Fang Dichang had no choice but to attack personally. He rampaged through the army, killing everyone in his path with no one being able to rival him. This did not last long. His condition continued to deteriorate as he began to receive injuries. After some more time, Fang Dichang was soaked in blood and started to stagger. To think that I, Fang Dichang, would actually die in such a place. Fang Dichang shouted in sadness as he self-detonated resolutely. Boom! The Gu masters surrounding him were wiped out with no intact corpses. After a short period of shock, the surviving Gu masters shouted in joy. We won. We finally killed the demon. Sob, father, mother, I have avenged you. Xiao Qixing's group was also excited, and their faces were flushed red. We killed an immortal. We succeeded in slaughtering the immortal. Chapter 2013, Survival Through Death. Xiao Qixing's group strolled along the streets. The huge battle had just ended. The flourishing and bustling street had turned into a scene of desolation, with no pedestrians moving around. Even if there were, they were mostly injured ones. Fang Dichang is not worthy of being in Western Desert's righteous path. He slaughtered innocents and caused many deaths. Letting him die like this is really letting him go easy. Chen Dejiang said hatefully. Ing Shengji sighed as he added, yes, this was once a place filled with rich vitality. You guys are truly funny. Wei Wushang laughed. This is only a painting world. It is Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable's killer move. The people here are not real existences. No matter how many are dead or injured, after a few years, it will be restored back to normal. Yes, compared to these things, I am more curious about the rewards the sects will give us. Gu Ting said. Xiao Qixing's eyes brightened. We killed an immortal as mortals, and even got rid of the hidden disaster in Divine Emperor City. With such a huge contribution, not only our sects, even Heavenly Court should personally reward us, right? Ha ha. Xiao Qixing laughed heartily and was inwardly pleased. He had the best performance and had contributed the most in putting down the Divine Being soldiers and eliminating Fang Dichang, that in terms of rewards based on contribution, he would be at the top. In an alley which the group passed by, two beggars were sitting at a corner, looking at everything with indifference. The behaviors of these 10 great ancient sects Gu immortal seeds naturally fell into these two beggars' view. I owe my thanks to you, Brother Shun. One beggar transmitted his voice. The other beggar laughed. Should I address you as Fang Yuan or Fang Dichang? The other beggar replied, I am only a clone, and strictly speaking, I can't even be considered a clone now. I am only a remnant will. So, you don't need to address me as Fang Yuan. As for Fang Dichang, he is already dead, having died by self-detonation. I am a nameless person now, just a lowly beggar remains. Xinshang's eyes shone. You are too modest. Even without me, you were already prepared to use death to escape. The other beggar nodded, not denying it. In my previous plan, if I could occupy and seize the painting worlds with the Divine Being soldiers, it would have been the best result. But the chance for this was not high. By preempting the actions to take after defeat, I was naturally prepared for everything. Self-detonation destroyed my body and soul, but this will was secretly left behind. Pausing for a moment, Fang Yuan's will continued. I have to thank you for your help regardless. If I relied on just my methods, there is a high probability of Genesis Lotus will discovering me. But with you shielding me, it is a completely different case. Xinshang, your human path attainment continues to grow by the day. Xinshang chuckled. That is true. Since the Fate War, after I deciphered the venerable human path killer moves, my human path attainment rose quite a bit. And after I arrived in this painting world, I acted as a beggar, observing and experiencing life, which gave me a lot of insight. A beggar has a beggar's advantage. Beggars stand at the lowest level of society. They can observe the attitudes of people, experience kindness and harshness, feel hunger and fullness, warmth and cold. Xinshang then changed the topic, asking, "What do you plan to do now? Leave here or continue to stay?" Fang Yuan's will did not hesitate. "I am unable to leave here. Even if only a will remains of me now. It has only temporarily escaped the observation of Genesis Lotus will and has not grasped a way to leave." "What about you?" Xinshang also shook his head. "I also haven't found the method to leave. I have already secretly checked those Gu immortal seeds of the 10 great ancient sections. They are able to enter and exit here because they have obtained the approval of Genesis Lotus will. But I believe that as long as I continue to stay in hiding and research, my human path attainment will continue to accumulate and attain a qualitative change. By that time, I can find a method to leave this place." Fang Yuan's will looked deeply at Xinshang. He could see Xinshang was happy to stay in here. However, when Fang Yuan thought of it, it was also not strange. Genesis Lotus Immortal Venerable had made this huge move. He created a special small world to develop human path. Over here, human path was supreme and other paths were secondary. Human path had the greatest development while other paths had little progress at the same time. This world followed the rules of the mortal world. There was an insignificant gap between immortals and mortals, which was more beneficial for the development of human path. Moreover, the inside and outside were separated. When outsiders came here, they would be isolated from the 5 regions and could not even connect to treasure yellow heaven. This stopped information from spreading outside or entering and corrupting the people here. Thus, it created an isolated sacred land of human path. Xinshang primarily cultivated human path. In here, he was like a gluttonous monster that saw absolutely rare delicacies. He was like a fish in water and even felt deeply attached to this place. Fang Yuan's will was currently possessing a body. It was created from Xinshang's beggar gu. He had 2 choices in front of him now. One was to wait for the main body to rescue him. The other was to cultivate alongside Xinshang and use Xinshang's strength to get free. All the information concerning the divine being soldier calamity was gathered in Qin Dingling's hands. Fang Dichang died by self-detonation? Qin Dingling frowned. This result somewhat disappointed Qin Dingling. She had been hoping to capture this clone of Fang Yuan alive, and through him, deduce the location of Fang Yuan's main body. I did not expect Fang Yuan's clone to resolutely kill himself, but this also conforms to Fang Yuan's vicious personality. Qin Dingling did not hold much doubts. If we could capture him alive, that would have been better. In the painting world, the gap between immortals and mortals is not big. Unfortunately, these Gu immortal seeds have not grown enough and were unable to grasp the opportunity. Qin Dingling sighed inwardly. Xiao Qixing's group thought they made important contributions by slaughtering an immortal, but in her mind, Qin Dingling reviewed it poorly. However, even so, Qin Dingling decided to reward these Gu immortal seeds heavily. They were important cultivation targets after all. After dealing with the matter of rewards, Qin Dingling put her attention on Eastern Sea's conflict once again. Eastern Sea's conflict was the clash between humans and variant humans. One side was led by Qi Si ancestor, while the other was led by Wu Shuai. They had fought several times in the immemorial 2 heavens as well as sea areas of Eastern Sea, and the battles were becoming increasingly fierce. After Qi Si ancestor saved profound literature Grotto Heaven, he united several Grotto Heaven forces in the 2 heavens. Although Wu Shuai was defeated, he was not willing to show any weakness. On one hand, he gathered the forces of the 2 heavens that joined him. On the other hand, he ambushed and invaded those Grotto Heaven forces that wanted to wait and see that Wu Shuai's direction was extremely clear and blunt. Before attacking the 5 regions, he must clean up the 2 heavens to stabilize their base. That on one hand, this was because the distance between the 2 heavens Grotto Heavens was short and they could dispatch troops easily. If Wu Shuai ignored this, when the main army was outside in the future, the Grotto Heavens only needed to pose an attack, and it could cause Wu Shuai's army to end up losing their home ground. On the other hand, Qi harvest fruits of various sizes had appeared in Grotto Heavens of Wu Shuai's subordinates. Every time Wu Shuai attacked another Grotto Heaven, he would test the variant human Gu immortal suggestions to get rid of the Qi harvest fruits. Wu Shuai's side was in dire need of such trial and error. Because of Wu Shuai's violent strategy, more and more human forces in the two heavens sought Qi Si ancestors' protection. Qi Si ancestor defended the grotto heavens while integrating various forces. But on the whole, they were still at a disadvantage. Wu Shuai's two heavens alliance was strengthening at a much faster speed than Qi Si ancestors. He was actively protecting the variant humans' benefits, which caused increasingly more variant human grotto heavens to join him. In the two heavens, variant human grotto heavens were much larger in numbers than human grotto heavens. The final batch of variant human forces who adopted the thought of waiting and seeing took the initiative to side with Wu Shuai. On one hand, they were forced to because of the situation. On the other hand, if they did not surrender, there was no hope in resolving the hidden danger of the Qi harvest fruits in their grotto heavens. Wu Shuai's prestige soared, but the Qi harvest fruits issue was still troubling him. The two heavens alliance tested many methods, but they had all failed in eliminating Qi harvest fruits. Over at Qi Si ancestors' side, the progress in researching the mysteries of Qi harvest fruit was also quite slow. Wu Shuai's and Qi Si ancestors' sides fought frequently, but there were not many casualties. It was because both sides were not focused on eliminating the other side, but on clearing up the danger of the Qi harvest fruits. The one who knows the most about the mysteries of the Qi harvest fruit is probably demon immortal Qiju. Unfortunately, my strength is restrained at present and unable to deal with him. Fang Yuan sighed in pity that he had already resolved the huge problem of heaven's will, but he still had no clue as to how to refine heaven path down marks. Demon immortal Qiju, who Fang Yuan was thinking about, had currently arrived at Western Desert. It should be nearby. Demon immortal Qiju flew low and searched everywhere that he did not succeed in borrowing goo from Qi Si ancestor. So he used Qi Path investigative methods to search for other Qi Path immortal goo. And on this search, he found several Qi Path immortal goo. These Qi Path immortal goo were mostly wild immortal goo. They were naturally born after enormous Qi tides. As for the rest, they were looted from other goo immortals. Demon immortal Qiju did not go overboard. He only looted Qi Path immortal goo and spared the goo immortals, moving and stopping along the way. Demon immortal Qiju gradually left Eastern Sea and arrived at Western Desert. I deduced that a Qi Path immortal goo is near here. Just as Demon immortal Qiju was mumbling, a goo immortal suddenly appeared within his investigative range. Rank 8 Goo Immortal, Red Heart Traveler. Chapter 2014. Qiju takes blood Qi. Seeing this goo immortal, who was wearing a headband and a green robe, having a tall and powerful stance and handsome appearance, Demon immortal Qiju's mind shook. That Qi Path immortal goo I deduced, could it be on this person? The moment this thought emerged, Demon immortal Qiju attacked. With a loud sound, a giant white Qi hand moved to catch Red Heart Traveler. Almost at the same time that Demon immortal Qiju discovered Red Heart Traveler, Red Heart Traveler also discovered Demon immortal Qiju. Demon immortal Qiju did not recognize Red Heart Traveler, but Red Heart Traveler already had Heavenly Court's first-hand information on Demon immortal Qiju. Seeing the white Qi hand fly towards him, Red Heart Traveler's heart jumped, and he quickly evaded. Red Heart Traveler was a Heavenly Court goo immortal and the previous Demon Judgment Board leader. He was very strong. During the Fate War, he came to Western Desert and disguised as a blood path demonic immortal, attracting the attention of many super forces of Western Desert's righteous path, thus restraining a large number of hostile forces for Central Continent. Looking at the whole of Western Desert's goo immortal world, Red Heart Traveler had the confidence to fight against almost any Western Desert goo immortal. But right now, his opponent was Demon immortal Qiju, one of the strongest goo immortals in the present age. Red Heart Traveler was well aware that he was not Demon immortal Qiju's match. The gap was too large, and the loser of this battle was certain to be him. Red Heart Traveler retreated without any hesitation. The next moment, Demon immortal Qiju saw a lump of blood-red light emerge behind Red Heart Traveler's head, after which the latter's speed increased sharply and was able to dodge his Qi hand. Demon immortal Qiju exclaimed slightly, mumbling inwardly, "Blood path again? It seems like blood path is very prolific in this age." Demon immortal Qiju was naturally not willing to let go of Red Heart Traveler so easily. So he gave chase. One chased, and one fled. They had soon traveled over 10,000 L. To his surprise, demon immortal Chi Ju discovered his main movement method was actually unable to catch up to Red Heart Traveler. Naturally, he was not left behind in the dust either. I have already modified my movement method, but I am still unable to catch up to this person. Who is this person? A rank 8 blood path Gu immortal. Demon immortal Chi Ju searched his memories and gradually found some clues. He had previously soul-searched Qing Huizi and obtained a lot of information. Red Heart Traveler's true identity was not exposed, but he created havoc in Western Desert, and with the sensitive identity of a rank 8 blood path expert, information regarding him was already spread in Treasure Yellow Heaven, and every Gu immortal in the world had learned of it. After chasing for some more time, demon immortal Chi Ju suddenly shouted, "Where exactly are you running to?" His preparation was finished. He activated a killer move. Red Heart Traveler immediately felt the surrounding chi currents engulf him, severely affecting his speed. That he sighed inwardly. He could only turn around and fight demon immortal Chi Ju. Demon immortal Chi Ju's moves were majestic and powerful. Milky white chi currents surged like a tsunami with unstoppable might. When they truly fought, there was no surprise. Red Heart Traveler fell into a disadvantage. But his methods also were not weak. Blood-red lights spread and blood-red flowers bloomed. There was no evil feeling. On the contrary, they were warm and righteous as they defended him. Red Heart Traveler struggled with all his might, but in just several rounds, his whole body was soaked with sweat. He sighed internally. As expected of a monster that was recorded in history, he is too strong. Red Heart Traveler felt he was like a small boat that was using all its strength to dodge and delay for time under the tidal wave-like attacks of demon immortal Chi Ju. After several more rounds, Red Heart Traveler was already in a perilous situation. This time, there was suddenly a beast roar. An immemorial desolate beast drilled out from the desert and went for a surprise attack on demon immortal Chi Ju from behind. Demon immortal Chi Ju was caught off guard, but he did not panic. He waved his hand, and a mountain-like giant chi hand slammed into the immemorial desolate beast. But just as this immemorial desolate beast was about to be struck by the giant hand, it suddenly let out bright light and transformed into an immemorial swallow that shot towards demon immortal Chi Ju like a black arrow. So it is a transformation path, Gu immortal. Haha, interesting. Demon immortal Chi Ju was slightly surprised. He praised while he fought against this immortal. The aid was from 9 spiritual fairy. She and Red Heart Traveler had come to Western Desert together to help each other out. With her reinforcement, Red Heart Traveler's situation immediately turned better. He managed to escape from the horrible outcome of death. We can't fight for long. This old demon is truly terrifying. We are not his match. We are only able to resist him now because he is not familiar with our methods yet. Red Heart Traveler hurriedly transmitted his voice. He had fought demon immortal Chi Ju and felt the terror of an expert at the peak of the present age. Demon immortal Chi Ju was unable to get rid of him because he had resurrected not long ago and had yet to completely adapt to the changes. If they truly fought, it was only a matter of time before Heavenly Court's 2 immortals were killed by demon immortal Chi Ju. I have an idea. Follow me. 9 spiritual fairy transmitted her voice, retreating while fighting. Demon immortal Chi Ju chased after the 2 immortals all the way to a desert. 9 spiritual fairy suddenly transformed into an immemorial desolate beast and held Red Heart Traveler in her mouth before plunging into the desert. Demon immortal Chi Ju snorted coldly. Foolish action. With a clap of his hands, heaven and earth shook. Milky white chi current slammed the desert surface like a tsunami. The surrounding 100 li of desert was forcibly pressed down to over 10 feet deep. 9 spiritual fairy let out a muffled groan as she suffered heavy injuries. Red Heart Traveler quickly used healing methods on her. 9 spiritual fairy did not dare to return to fighting and concentrated only on moving deeper into the ground. Demon immortal Chi Ju was just about to plunge into the desert and continue chasing when he suddenly heard a beast roar. At the next moment, a huge immemorial soul beast flew out of the nearby desert ground. Demon immortal Chi Ju's pupils shrunk slightly when he saw this immemorial soul beast. This immemorial soul beast had a strange shape and looked quite furious. It had a tortoise shell for tiger paws, dragon tail, snake neck, and a human head. Its head was full of disheveled hair, and its eyes were letting out ominous light and fury. This was a legendary, immemorial, desolate beast with many immortal goo. Oh, you found Qing Cho. Seeing demon immortal Qi Ju tangled with the immemorial soul beast, Red Heart Traveler exclaimed in shock. This immemorial soul beast was Qing Cho. After Divine Bean Palace was seized by Feng clan, Qing Cho left Divine Bean Palace and hid itself in some areas. But in the Fate War, Divine Bean Palace and Emperor City had merged into one, and Genesis Lotus was in control of it. After the Fate War, Genesis Lotus will naturally handed all kinds of information to Heavenly Court. Not only did Qin Dingling know of Feng Dichang's true identity, she also obtained information on Qing Cho. Divine Bean Palace had imprisoned Qing Cho for so many years. Genesis Lotus will had an extremely high understanding of it and knew of a secret method to find it. Qin Dingling obtained this secret method and secretly commanded 9 spiritual fairy to search for Qing Cho and subdue it. Qing Cho was a legendary immemorial beast. Not only did it have outstanding battle strength, it also had a natural ability to recognize everything related to spectral soul. If Heavenly Court obtained it, not only could they deal with Fang Yuan, they could even deal with spectral soul. It could be considered as killing 2 birds with 1 stone. 9 Spiritual Fairy had found Qing Cho's location not long ago, but her strength was insufficient and she had no confidence in succeeding. When Red Heart Traveler ran into Demon Immortal Qi Ju, she thought of a plan to lure Demon Immortal Qi Ju into fighting with Qing Cho. Amazing. Like this, we can watch from the sidelines and even possibly benefit from their conflict. Red Heart Traveler smiled. Qing Cho is not Demon Immortal Qi Ju's match. We need to observe the situation before making a decision. 9 Spiritual Fairy talked while moving deeper into the ground. The further away they were from the battlefield, the better. However, beyond the expectations of Heavenly Court's 2 immortals, Demon Immortal Qi Ju felt something amiss and breathed out boundless qi currents that filled the sky. He entered them and quickly disappeared. Without an opponent, Qing Cho also chose to leave the battlefield, escaping to the horizons. Deep underground, Heavenly Court's 2 immortals looked at each other. Red Heart Traveler suddenly said, "Damn it! That Blood Sea True Inheritance is going to be taken." 9 Spiritual Fairy was stunned for a moment before reacting. "You really found that Blood Path True Inheritance?" Red Heart Traveler nodded, sighing. Heavenly Court's clues were not wrong. The crucial key was the Qi tide that exposed the Blood Sea True Inheritance. I searched for over half a month before finally arriving at the location, but I ran into Demon Immortal Qi Ju over there. 9 Spiritual Fairy was silent. Meanwhile, Demon Immortal Qi Ju returned back to the original spot. "It is really here." He inspected for a while, discovering the target was still here and had not moved. After trying for a while more, he successfully obtained this Blood Sea True Inheritance. Back then, Blood Sea Ancestor had set up hundreds of thousands of inheritance sites that spread over Central Continent, Southern Border, Northern Plains, Western Desert, and Eastern Sea. Among them, there were 9 true inheritances. One of the true inheritances had now fallen into Demon Immortal Qi Ju's hands. Blood Path True Inheritance. Amazing. With this true inheritance, it will be several times easier for me to deal with Blood Path Goo Immortals. And this Blood Qi Immortal Goo is really suitable for me. Ha ha. Demon Immortal Qi Ju laughed heartily. Almost all the killer moves he activated before consumed Qi Path Immortal materials. Now that he obtained a Qi Path Immortal Goo, his strength was raised further. Although there was still some difference from his peak condition in history, he was already much stronger than when he fought Fang Yuan. Chapter 2015, Sand Wolf City's Huge Change. Western Desert. Wind blew hard, and sand flew everywhere. A merchant caravan pulled by camels was moving with difficulty through the barren desert. Oh heavens, we finally returned to Sand Wolf City. Inside the caravan, Pengda spoke with deep emotions as he showed an exhausted expression that Jiu Master Mo Li was sitting on a camel to the side. He looked at Pengda and laughed. "Kid, your words are quite different from when we moved out the first time." Pengda's face flushed a little. When Mo Li had just organized the merchant caravan, Pengda had been extremely excited and thought the adventure would be amazing and fun. But after a few caravan trips, Pengda had already fully realized his former naivety. In this world, peddling was not only difficult and extremely dangerous, it was also extremely tiring. With even some slight carelessness, his fragile life would be lost in the vast and merciless desert. However, Pengda's emotions resonated with other Gu masters in the merchant caravan. Yes, we are back home again. We did not encounter any danger in this journey, but it was truly exhausting. I am going to take a good bath after returning. I am already unable to control myself. I'll go drink my fill at the tavern, ha. Emoli smiled. He thought of his wife as well as his son, who had changed a lot recently. His son was selected and was heavily cultivated. His prodigal son had truly turned over a new leaf. These beautiful wonders of life gave Emoli brand new hope and motivation. Being a caravan merchant was difficult, but he found joy in his own way. Wait, something is going on. The investigative Gu master who was at the forefront of the caravan suddenly shouted. Pengda immediately tensed up while also feeling somewhat strange. According to common sense, this was near Sandwolf City and there should be no danger here. So why was there the sudden warning? Emoli immediately activated his investigative Gu worm. His body slightly stiffened as he shouted. The situation is strange. Rush forward with full speed. Pengda and the rest did not know the reason, but seeing Emoli take the lead, they naturally believed in the merchant caravan leader and followed quickly. When they got close to Sandwolf City, they did not even need to use Gu worms to discover the abnormalities. Puffs of gray smoke curled upwards. There was also fire and a burnt smell in the air that all came from Sandwolf City. Everyone in the merchant caravan had a bad feeling as they moved even faster. Finally, they arrived in front of Sandwolf City's gate. Impossible. What exactly is going on? Oh heavens, this is a dream, right? It must be a dream. Some of the merchant caravan members simply knelt on the ground. Some broke down and started crying. Even the most stable, leader Emoli, was standing in a daze. Pengda's eyes were wide open as he looked at the scene in front of him in disbelief. The flowering Sandwolf City had now become ruins. There were corpses everywhere. Rubble and wreckage littered the roads. Fire burned and smoke was everywhere. The scene was too horrible to look at, Emoli mumbled when he suddenly jolted, running towards the inner city. His movement jolted many people. Gu masters began rushing to their homes. Pengda did not have a home, so he rode a camel and followed Emoli was fast, and with anxiety burning his heart, he directly left Pengda far behind. Fortunately, Pengda had returned to Sandwolf City several times and knew the path to Emoli's home. When Pengda reached Emoli's home, he saw ruins. Emoli was kneeling on the ground, silently looking at his wife's corpse that he had dug out. Pengda, however, sensed deep sadness from Emoli's silence. How could this be? What exactly happened here? While Pengda was sad, even more so, he was bewildered that as far as he was concerned. Sandwolf City was a large city with many Gu masters stationed here, but it was actually destroyed and turned into a city devoid of life. What kind of strength could have the power to destroy the whole of Sandwolf City? Was it a chi tide disaster? But it did not look like that at all from the traces. This world is truly too dangerous. People are living in danger. Even Gu masters are the same. There is simply no safe place. Pengda felt his insignificance growing increasingly. He looked at Emoli, who was kneeling like a statue, and opened his mouth several times before finally saying, "Uncle, we need to pull ourselves together. Don't forget you still have a son." These words shook Missouri. His eyes lit up with some hope once again. "Pengda, thank you for your reminder. My son is still in the inner city area. He is a Gu immortal seed and is heavily nurtured. He must be okay. He has to be guarded properly. Let's go find him." Emoli carried his wife's corpse and rushed towards the inner city area with Pengda. The whole inner city area had turned into a huge crater. The inner city area was gone. Several caravan members were standing at the edge of the crater, watching it blankly. Emoli walked towards them and looked at the huge crater in front of him. His face turned extremely pale and his lips trembled, unable to say anything. Pengda took in a sharp breath of air. He could see this huge crater was a beast's footprint. Such a large footprint meant this beast was unimaginably huge. This is not man-made. A beast calamity. A mountain-sized beast attacked Sand Wolf City and killed everyone. The caravan members analyzed and started weeping again. Oli fell into deathly silence, and Pengda did not know how to console him. Oli once had a beautiful home, and now it was all gone. Only he himself was remaining. As far as Oli was concerned, as far as the surviving caravan members were concerned, fate was simply too cruel. Boom! Just at this time, there was a sonic boom in the sky above everyone. This sound immediately attracted everyone's attention. Could it be that the giant beast did not leave? Pengda quickly raised his head and saw two figures floating in the sky. Gu immortals. The other Gu masters shouted. Disaster befell this place as well. The Gu immortals in the sky talked, their voices echoing and spreading below. They did not conceal it. This damned beast, it has caused my Mo clan to suffer such disastrous losses. Wait until I capture it. I will pull out its tendons and flay its skin to ease my anger. Another Gu immortal said in fury. Let's go. We will catch up to it soon. The two Gu immortals quickly flew away. The Gu masters on the ground were silent for a while when someone suddenly started to cry out loud. Father, Mother, you died so miserably. I, your son, cannot avenge you, but the immortals will uphold justice for you. Pengda was silent. His mood was extremely heavy. At this moment, he suddenly had a realization. Even if one becomes a Gu master, even if they are a rank 5 Gu master, what use is it? Only by becoming a Gu immortal could they have some sort of control over their own fate in this world. I want to follow them to take a look. Oli suddenly said with a resolute expression. Leader, are you crazy? The surrounding Gu masters quickly persuaded Oli's attitude was firm. I am incompetent. I cannot avenge my wife and child, but I will stake all my strength to see the death of the culprit with my own 2 eyes. If I can't even grasp this chance, even if I live on, I will feel regret for the rest of my life. These words resonated with the remaining Gu masters. They agreed and expressed that they wanted to move alongside Oli to see justice being upheld. Uncle, I also want to follow you. Pengda said. You should stay behind, kid. Oli's expression softened somewhat as he looked at Pengda. Pengda smiled bitterly. Uncle, you have saved me time and time again. You are my closest person in this world. Since I followed you, I will definitely not separate with you at this crucial moment. Let me continue to follow you, Uncle. Oli looked deeply at Pengda for a good while before nodding and saying with a hoarse voice, Then follow me, rascal. The group of Gu masters followed the direction the Gu immortals flew towards and left the ruins of Sand Wolf City. On the way, the footprints of the giant beast was exceptionally obvious, which kept them on the correct path. They rushed like this for a day and a night when they suddenly heard thunder in the horizon. This is not thunder, it is the fight between the Gu immortals and the giant beast. Listen closely, you can vaguely hear a beast's howl. The Gu masters were excited as they sped up, wanting to get closer, but at this time, a dark chi current sprayed out like a rainbow crossing the sky. A thread of the chi current fell near the Gu masters. A trace of the dark chi brushed past a Gu master's shoulder. That Gu master suddenly cried out in terror. His skin and muscles started rotting, and he soon melted into a white skeleton. Everyone was horrified at this shocking change and quickly escaped in all directions. Fortunately, the dark chi dispersed with the wind and did not linger. It is too dangerous to go closer. This is only the after effect of the fight between the Gu immortals and the giant beast. We have no strength to resist it. If we move in any closer, we will lose our lives. Most of the Gu masters stopped and turned back. I still want to try it. You can leave. Oli was the only remaining Gu master. Pengda still wanted to follow him, but this time, Oli's attitude was firm. He drove him away. Alone, Oli moved some distance with difficulty. When he climbed up a sand dune and looked, he could not help taking in a sharp breath at what he saw. Far away in the horizon, dark fog covered everywhere. The fog was clearly the dark chi current from earlier. In the dark fog, Oli could vaguely see a figure of a mountain-sized beast, as well as the occasional lightning flashes. Oli breathed in deeply and was about to continue moving forward when he was suddenly hugged from behind. Uncle, do you want to die? Don't go any forward. You will lose your life. Pengda shouted. Brat, why haven't you left yet? Oli was furious. Peng said with sincerity. Uncle, you are my benefactor. How can I forget your kindness and watch you send yourself to death's door? I know you want to die. Your condition is not right. I have been following you all the way, but you were unable to discover me. Uncle, live on. Don't kill yourself. But Emily was not persuaded. Brat, get lost. I won't. Screw off. This has nothing to do with you. You are still young and have a long life ahead of you. Don't come here to die. Uncle, I will save you. I don't need you to save me. Even if I die, I will stake my life to take revenge. Even if it is an insignificant attack, as long as it lands on that damned beast, I will be satisfied. Boom. Just as the two were bickering, a hurricane flew over from the battle on the horizon. The hurricane was like a pillar that connected heaven and earth. It moved quickly towards the two. Damn it. Peng and Emily simply did not have the time to dodge and were swept away by the hurricane. The two insignificant figures disappeared into the violent hurricane in an instant.